you have a problem with society too, do you think?
No, I just...
Or you were just more like the number of people getting killed was kind of interesting and exciting?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Michael Bever, a 16-year-old who murdered his 2 parents and 3 siblings with his brother, Robert Bever, in July 2015. And the fact that this young kid is able to stay so calm while going into such detail about the murders he committed is incredibly chilling. Here are 10 utterly disturbing interviews with kids who killed their families. Robert and Michael Bever, Broken Arrow murders. In 2015, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, became the setting for one of the most haunting family murders in recent American history. 2 teenage brothers, Robert and Michael Bever, set out to become serial killers. But before chasing infamy, they started at home. Their first victims weren't strangers, they were family. David and April Bever had 7 children. Robert, the oldest, was 18. Michael was 16. Their siblings were young. Daniel, 12. Christopher, 10. Victoria, just 5. Crystal, 13. And baby Autumn, only 2. On July 23, 2015, 5 of them were gone, slaughtered in their own home. Only Crystal and little Autumn survived. When Michael was interviewed by police, he wasn't shaken, he wasn't scared. He was calm, almost eager. He spoke about the murders like they were part of a project, a mission, something he and Robert had meticulously planned.
Well, originally, I think kind of stayed steady throughout the month. We went to kill everyone at the house first.
Okay.
And then wait for all the packages to show up over the weekend.
Robert had quit his job at a tech firm months earlier. He spent his time and money stockpiling weapons, ordering body armor, and collecting gear online. They kept a journal. They had targets. They wanted a kill count in the hundreds because they hated society, hated people, and he wanted to outdo the killers he'd read about online. It wasn't just murder, it was a competition.
Do you have a problem with society too, do you think?
No, I just...
Or you were just more like the number of people getting killed was kind of interesting and exciting?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was no remorse, no sorrow, just cold fascination. Their plan was to kill their family, then move on to random strangers, 5 at a time. That's how they envisioned their legacy, a trail of blood and headlines. Thankfully, they never got that far.
You stabbed Christopher in the neck. How many times did you stab Christopher?
2 or 3, I think.
And who else did you stab?
Besides Mom.
Because here's the thing, everybody's been stabbed, and you both had knives, and we know you both stabbed everybody. So you guys are kind of at the same level, and so now it's who's going to be honest and make this right, and who's a liar, okay? Which one do you want to be?
I'm not a liar.
Okay, so you're a man of your word?
Yes.
Now the Bever brothers sit in prison. The massacre they hoped would make them famous didn't. It made them infamous. 2 boys who grew up in a house full of life and decided to erase it. Apparently, the house was demolished in 2017. But the town of Broken Arrow has now had like 3 family massacres. And that's very strange because it is such a small town. Isabella Guzman.
And the fact that you can sit there with that stupid goddamn look on your face makes me sick. It makes me physically sick to look at you.
Do the DNA test that will prove me right.
Don't tell me how to do my job.
Why are you so
Don't tell me how to do my job.
I haven't done anything to you.
You've come in here tried to fucking act like you're so goddamn smart.
In 2013, the quiet suburbs of Aurora, Colorado became the scene of a brutal and baffling crime. And the killer was this teenage girl named Isabella Guzman. She was just 18 years old when she stabbed her mother at least 79 times in the face, neck, and torso. The home they shared was modest. Isabella lived with her mother, Yunmi Hoy, and her stepfather, Ryan Hoy. Money was tight, tensions ran high. Arguments between mother and daughter were frequent, but no one expected they would end in blood. On the night of August 28th, Yun came home around 9:30 p.m. and headed upstairs to take a shower, but she never came back down. Moments later, Ryan heard a loud thud, then screaming. He ran upstairs only to find the bathroom door locked. Blood pooled beneath it, so he called 911. When Isabella opened the door, she didn't say a word. She just walked past him, knife in hand, soaked in her mother's blood. Inside, Yun lay lifeless, naked, 31 stab wounds to her face, 48 to her neck. Ryan tried to save her, but it was too late. Isabella was already gone. A citywide manhunt followed. She was found the next day, sitting in a parking garage, still wearing the blood-stained clothes she'd committed the murder in. What happened next only deepened the mystery. During her interrogation, Isabella claimed she wasn't Isabella at all. She said her name was Samantha, that she didn't know her mother or her father, or why she was there. She acted as if Isabella Guzman was someone else entirely.
What the hell is going on? Can you please just...
Do you understand what I'm saying, Isabella? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Don't call me Isabella!
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm not Isabella!
Eventually, the truth came out. Isabella had been suffering from paranoid schizophrenia. She told investigators she didn't see her mother that night. She saw a woman named Cecilia, a woman she believed she had to kill to save the world. She said the voices in her head gave her no choice.
I was not myself when I did that, and I have since been restored to full health.
The court found her not guilty by reason of insanity. Instead of prison, she was sent to the Colorado Mental Health Institute. The story left a community shaken, a daughter lost to delusion, a mother lost to violence, and a single moment that forever shattered a family, just like the case of Gavin Smith. Gavin Smith. In a case that stunned the quiet hills of West Virginia, 16-year-old Gavin Smith became the architect of one of the most brutal family murders in the state's history. He didn't snap, he planned it.
Well, why'd you kill Dane?
Because all the abuse and everything he's ever done to me.
Like I said, I get that. I just don't understand. I'm trying to understand why you killed Gage and Jameson.
I mean, Gage, Dan would hold me against my will, like against the wall, he would let Gage punch me.
For days, Gavin mapped out how he would kill his entire family, his mother, Risa Mae Saunders, his stepfather, Daniel Long, and his two little brothers, Gage Ripley and baby Jameson Long. And he did all that because he wanted more time with his girlfriend, 22-year-old Rebecca Lynn Walker. Investigators later discovered she encouraged him, egged him on through FaceTime to go through with it. They'd been dating for 9 months, and then, one night, Gavin carried it out. He shot his mother and stepfather in the head while they slept. Then he crept into his brother's room. Gage was just a kid, but Gavin put a bullet in his head while he lay in bed. Jameson was still in his crib. Gavin said the baby's cries disturbed him, so he slit the infant's throat. Then, he shot him in the head.
Before I shot Gage, he went into their room, and I shot him right there.
Okay.
And I had to kill Jay because Gage slit his throat right here.
Gage slit his throat?
Days passed before anyone discovered the scene. It was friends of the family, concerned and confused, who walked into the blood-soaked house and called the police. When questioned, Gavin was cold. He described each murder with eerie calm. No hesitation, no remorse. He told investigators that he'd been abused, that his stepfather had hurt him, physically and sexually, that no one in the house ever really loved him.
What were you thinking whenever you were shooting your family?
I wasn't thinking straight when I shot them, but after I shot them, I realized how much what I did. Because I got so depressed and I started fighting.
But it was the way he spoke that disturbed police most. Detached, emotionless, as if he was explaining how to fix a broken appliance. Even if the abuse was real, what he did wasn't revenge. It was an execution. Gavin was arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. Rebecca, his girlfriend, was also charged as an accessory and co-conspirator. The case forced many to confront a harsh truth, that even in the face of trauma, some people choose evil. And sometimes, they do it with a steady hand, which was the troubling case of Erin Caffey. Erin Caffey. Erin Caffey seemed like the kind of girl you'd never suspect. 16 years old, raised in a religious home in Alba, Texas. Her father, Terry, was a minister. Her mother, Penny, sang in the church choir. Erin was the oldest of 3 kids, and for most of her life, her world was built on faith, discipline, and control. But in 2004, things shifted. She kissed a boy at school. Her parents reacted by pulling her out and homeschooling her with a strict Bible-based curriculum. The outside world became off-limits. Then Erin met Charlie Wilkinson. He was her boyfriend, and also the trigger. By 2008, Erin's relationship with Charlie had grown intense and secretive. Her parents disapproved, so Erin made a choice.
Why are you here?
For the murders of my mother and 2 brothers.
You pled guilty because you are guilty, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
On the night of March 1st, 2008, Erin stayed behind while Charlie, along with his friends Charles Wade and Bobby Johnson, entered the cafe home. They were armed with a .22 caliber pistol and a samurai sword. Terry and Penny Caffey were asleep in their bedroom when the first shots rang out. Terry was hit multiple times, but somehow survived. Penny wasn't so lucky. Then, they turned to the children. The attackers found Aaron's two younger brothers, 8 and 13, and killed them both with the sword. When it was done, they set the house on fire. Terry Caffey crawled out of the burning home, bloodied and barely alive. He later woke up in the hospital and told police what he remembered. It didn't take long to trace the crime back to Aaron.
I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Okay.
And she told me that she was gonna hire somebody to go out there and kill her parents.
During interrogation, Aaron admitted to it all, with a tone that sent chills through the room. No visible guilt, no emotion. She claimed her mother had mistreated her, that she wanted to be free, that love drove her to this. But love didn't explain what happened next. Just hours after her family was slaughtered, Aaron and Charlie had sex. To her, it was done. Her parents were gone, her brothers silenced, the house had burned, and she had moved on. Prosecutors described her as manipulative and remorseless, someone capable of orchestrating death and then watching it unfold without flinching. Erin Caffey was sentenced to life in prison, and her case became a haunting reminder. Sometimes, the coldest killers don't pull the trigger. They just whisper the idea and watch others bleed for them. Gregory Logan Ramos. Gregory Ramos thought he was smart enough to get away with murder, but no amount of planning could bury what he did, because it started with his own mother.
A 15-year-old confesses to strangling his mom over a bad grade.
Born June 14, 2003, in Florida, Gregory Logan Ramos was raised in a middle-class household in DeBary. His mother, Gail Clevenger, was a successful accountant. His stepfather, Danny Clevenger, was a businessman. Gregory's home life was far from calm. He clashed frequently with his mother. And behind the honor student image, the martial arts, the church programs, the police explorer badge, something much darker was growing. By 15, he had already begun fantasizing about murder. Then, on November 2nd, 2018, he did it. Gregory waited until early morning. He entered his mother's bedroom, shoved her to the ground, and strangled her with his bare hands. It took 30 minutes. When it was done, he loaded her body into a wheelbarrow, dragged it to his car, and drove to a church about 1.5 miles away. There, under a fire pit, he dug a shallow grave while music played through his earbuds. He tried to pry off her wedding ring. He wanted to pawn it, but his tools weren't strong enough. So he dumped her body into the hole, cramming it to make it fit, then poured bleach over her remains to mask the smell. He covered it up, literally, then drove home. But Gregory wasn't finished. He staged a break-in at the house with help from 2 friends, Brian Porras and Dylan Segura. The plan was to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. It almost worked, until Gregory confessed. On November 3rd, just a day later, he broke. During his police interrogation, he calmly detailed everything: the killing, the grave, the cover-up. He claimed it wasn't planned, that it was impulsive rage after an argument about his grades.
I don't plan on. I didn't want her to kill me. I didn't think that was fitting. I wouldn't have worked out. So I just took action instead.
He told officers, then came the most chilling moment. After murdering his mother, Gregory went to school, sat in class, talked to friends, smiled. Later that day, he called 911, pretending to be a concerned son. He described the call as Grammy-worthy. Police weren't impressed. Gregory Ramos was charged with first-degree murder. His friends were charged as accessories. All were prosecuted as adults. And while Ramos initially told officers he felt no remorse, he later wept in court. But the question remained: was it guilt, or was he just upset he got caught? Christopher and Cameron Irvin. Christopher and Cameron Irvin once seemed like model sons. Polite, quiet, intelligent. Nobody expected them to try to kill their parents.
1-8 County 911, what's the location of the emergency? Yes, please send someone to not house my children. They're trying to kill me.
Born in 1993 and 1998, the Irvin brothers grew up in a modest 2-story home in a middle-class suburb of Atlanta, Georgia. Their parents, Zachary and Devon, were hardworking and deeply involved in their children's lives. But behind closed doors, a slow fracture was forming. Christopher was the golden child, a political science major at Georgia State University with a 4.0 GPA. He held jobs, stayed out of trouble, and even modeled for Abercrombie and Fitch. Cameron followed his older brother's footsteps, sort of. He played football in high school, then joined the marching band instead. Their father, a former athlete himself, didn't take the shift well. The brothers said he made them feel like failures, but no one thought it would come to blood. On September 5th, 2015, at 4 a.m., they made their move. Earlier that night, the brothers had drugged their parents during dinner. When Zachary and Yvonne fell asleep, Christopher and Cameron crept into the bedroom. They brought plastic bags, pillows, a shotgun. First, they tried to smother and strangle their parents. Then, the attack turned frenzied. Zachary was stabbed multiple times. Yvonne was bludgeoned. And as if that weren't enough, they wrapped her face in saran wrap, trying to make sure she wouldn't survive. Then they lit candles throughout the house, let the gas run, tried to burn it all down. But their parents lived, barely. Zachary and Yvonne Irvin survived the attack and called 911. The brothers were arrested without incident. During interrogation, they told detectives why they did it.
Sometimes it just don't need me. I don't know why I'm trying. They wanted me to get out the house. They wanted me to do something illicit for the Navy. Just wasn't supposed to happen.
He told us that y'all turned the gas on last night and it just didn't work.
I told you we did it.
No, he just kind of said the gas. He was kind of vague, but that the gas was turned on and they put candles out.
By placing emphasis on the word we, Cameron implies one brother may have played a smaller role in the crime than the other. Unbeknownst to Cameron, Chris has already told the detectives they committed the crimes together.
We are going to let you see your brother today. Just, can you tell us what happened?
Honestly, we just wanted to blow the house up. We start over the house, we're missing so many bad things.
They felt unloved, unseen, like everything in their family revolved around football and discipline. Christopher said quitting football ended any connection he had with his father. Cameron said his dad made him feel worthless after he gave up the sport, even though he came back just to win his approval. Resentment turned into rage. Rage turned into a plan, and they were fully prepared to kill. In court, their parents did something few expected. They forgave them, but the law didn't. Both brothers were charged with attempted murder and arson. They were sentenced to 20 years in prison. And the home that once held a quiet family dream now holds a nightmare no fire could erase. Christopher Sutton. In 2004, Florida met a nightmare wrapped in privilege. Christopher Sutton, adopted into luxury, turned his parents' love into leverage for murder. He grew up in Coral Gables, Miami, boats, a mansion, and everything money could buy. His parents, John and Susan Sutton, were a power couple. He, a respected attorney, she, a devoted mother. To outsiders, it was picture perfect, but something dark festered behind the gated walls. At 16, Chris left a note plotting his parents' murder for inheritance money. He said it was a joke. He once pointed an unloaded gun at his mother and sister, threatening to kill them both. Terrified, his parents sent him to a remote reform school in Samoa at 18, hoping distance would dull the danger. It didn't. On the night of August 22, 2004, after celebrating a birthday with family and friends, John and Susan went to bed in separate rooms. Susan, as usual, took the guest room, her husband snoring too much to bear. Minutes later, a man in black crept in with a Glock 9mm. John was shot first, Susan next, 6 bullets. But the killer returned to finish John off with a full clip. That man was Garrett Kopp. But the mastermind was Christopher.
Christopher said he went to the scene of the incident. He saw the shooter walking down the hallway, and his mother Susan had been shot 6 times, information that was later confirmed during the investigation.
He promised Gary $100,000 once his parents were dead. The two smoked weed, sold drugs, and shared a grim plan in their rundown apartment. Chris tried to act surprised. He had a movie ticket as his alibi, but 170 calls with the hitman that day, and testimony from his girlfriend Juliet, who said he often wished his parents were dead, told a different story. In court, Christopher wept over his time in Samoa, but not once did he cry for his parents. Some said he had a God complex. Others just saw a spoiled kid who thought he could get away with murder. Either way, he was gone, and in his place stood a son who destroyed everything that made his life worth envying. Thomas Chan. In 2015, Peterborough, Ontario, saw a tragedy that no one could have predicted. Thomas Chan, once a rising rugby star, was just 19 when his world unraveled into bloodshed. Multiple concussions had pulled him from the sport he loved. His grades fell, his future dimmed, but he kept pushing forward, enrolling at St. Lawrence College. Then came December 28th, a night out with friends, drinks, a hockey game, and magic mushrooms. What happened next would haunt a family and a country forever. Thomas returned to his father's home high and unraveling. Barefoot, shirt open, eyes wide with madness, he shouted, "I'm not afraid anymore." Then he grabbed a kitchen knife. Within minutes, his father, Dr. Andrew Chan, was dead. Lynn Witteveen, his dad's girlfriend, was stabbed repeatedly but survived. In Thomas's mind, he wasn't killing, he was purging. He believed he was doing God's work, that his father was the devil, that evil had possessed the people he loved.
And I just remember his face just turned and devilish. Same with all my closest friends, my mom even. All their faces just turned devilish. Their hair started growing and turning black, and I was just so scared.
When police arrived, Thomas didn't run. He confessed, calm, detached. He truly thought he was saving the world. But what he saw wasn't real, just a bad trip. A night of psychedelics that twisted a troubled mind into chaos. Now, the boy once known for tackles on the field is remembered for something else entirely. A psychedelic-fueled delusion that ended in murder, and a father who never saw it coming. Julia Grace Egler. On July 7, 2019, a quiet home became the scene of a calculated double murder. At the center of it all was Julia Grace Egler, just 16 years old. For years, tensions simmered between Julia and her mother, Kelly McCollum. The trigger was Kelly's boyfriend, Matthew Zenrock, 16 years her junior. Julia hated him, resented her mother for choosing him, and one day, she snapped. That night, Julia acted like everything was normal. She waited, but once her mother and Zenrock came home, the act dropped. First, she opened fire. Kelly was shot multiple times. Zenrock begged for his life. It didn't matter. Julia chased him into the bathroom, stabbed him again and again, before finishing him with a bullet to the head. What drove her? Some say rage, others say emotional instability. But the most disturbing part came after. In her 911 call, Julia calmly mentioned she hadn't let the dogs out because she didn't want them to step in blood.
You still have your dogs with you?
They're just still in my room. I didn't let them out because I didn't want them getting blood all over their paws.
Right. Well, did you say blood all over their paws?
Yeah, 'cause
Is there blood inside your house?
Yes.
Whose blood is it? Is it your blood or is it the person who broke in blood? Are you injured?
No, I'm fine.
You're fine?
No,
so
I'm fine.
it's the person who broke in. It's their blood? Where is it at?
No, I don't know.
That cold detail left Dispatch stunned. Later, she confessed, said it had all built up, said it was the only way. Now, Julia Grace Egler stands as a haunting reminder of how deep emotional wounds, left unchecked, can twist into something far darker and far more deadly. Zachary Davis. August 10, 2012, Hendersonville, Tennessee. A teenage boy named Zachary Davis did something no one could have seen coming. Earlier that evening, Zachary and his older brother Joshua went to see a movie, a normal night out, but when they came home, something inside Zachary snapped. He waited until everyone was asleep. Then, he picked up a sledgehammer. What happened next was pure horror. Zachary crept into his mother's bedroom and bludgeoned her to death, again and again, until her skull caved in. Then, as if that wasn't enough, he lit the house on fire. His goal was to destroy the evidence and kill his brother too, but Joshua survived, barely. He escaped through the smoke while their mother, Melanie Davis, died in her bed. The most disturbing part was that Zachary wasn't just cold, he was calm.
What did you do with the sledgehammer after you hit her with it?
I just laid it in the laundry room.
Why did you hit her about 12 times with it? Why so many times?
To make sure she was dead.
In a now infamous interview with Dr. Phil, Zachary described the killing in chilling detail and even smirked as he talked about the sound the hammer made when it hit her brain bone.
Did you swing it hard?
Mm-hmm.
Did she make a noise?
I could just hear the hammer hitting her head.
And what did it sound like?
There was this wet thumping sound.
And then you hit her again.
When asked if he laughed during the murder, he simply said,
"Did you laugh when you were hitting her?"
Yeah.
Why did you laugh?
I just thought she deserved it.
There was no sign of remorse, just detachment, emptiness. And that's what makes this case so terrifying. Which child killer did you find the most disturbing? Let me know in the comments section. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, then be sure to subscribe and click on this next card on your screen.